The previous week, we've been looking at some of the indices that I trade and the pair that I've been looking at, which is GBP, JPY, and we saw how it has moved. I want us to look at what we're expecting for this week, because with the previous week, yes, we did see that the market has turned out the way that we have anticipated, but some of the moves from there we were able to miss a bit. So I want us now to correct that mistake, because in the markets, the most important thing is to spot the mistakes, correct them, just so the following week you become a better trader and you enter the markets with a fresh mindset and you being a better trader. So I thank you so much for watching this video. Today you are going to be looking at or learning some of the ways that I look at the markets in terms of the indices that I trade in, as well the pairs that I actually look at, and on top of that we are going to be looking at Nasdaq, US 30, and as well GBP, JPY. And I want to show you guys some of the things that we were speaking about the previous week, how it happened, and what you should be expecting from this week. So without wasting any time, what I'll do is that I'll just head over my screen and we'll start by looking at Nasdaq, which is US 100. And for those of you guys that are asking me which brokers that I'm trading with, I'll make sure that I leave the link in the description whereby you are able to trade with the right brokers that I'm with, that are reliable, because we don't want to be with brokers that today they're here and tomorrow they're not here. So yeah, let's look at Nasdaq right here. We've got on the daily time frame. So I'll start off first with the daily time frame, because there's a huge daily candle close that happened on Friday. So what happened is that previously we spotted this beautiful resistance, it broke out, came back as support, broke to the downside, and then it almost started like to give us some sort of a resistance here. Obviously it's not as picture perfect, meaning that it didn't retrace at that spot, but you can simply see that price gave us a lower high, and now followed by a lower low. So let us go on the 4 hour just to see if we can spot this a bit more clearer, and if we can be able to spot where the market is moving in the next few days. So with this being said, yes, I did mention that price did break out of here. So this being our lowest high, it broke below, it went down, and then it broke below here, it went up. And I remember the previous time we did say that if price happens to break below here and it retests here, maybe we can find some sort of sells. But yes, it did retest and then it continued going down. But this way it was a bit more tough of us to be able to catch this, on which you can see here we had our first touch, second touch, and this being our third touch. That was the only way you could have seen this trade. But that doesn't mean that it was the only way, because looking at the 60-minute, you can see that price has been able to give us some sort of a steeper pattern. And these are things that we are speaking about in the Forex Jesus course, the steep patterns that we were able to get right here, which is an ascending type pattern. Just take a look at this, and if price happens to just come, and I'll show you this, boom. So one of the ways that you could have caught this, which is something that we're speaking about in a lesson that I was recording in the new updated course. So what happens is that you can simply see that we've got our first touch here at the top, second touch, and eventually we got here our third touches. Here's our third touch, and on top of that we had these two double top scenarios, this being our first, this being our second. So now one thing that I was looking for here is obviously some sort of a confirmation, which after this candlestick, the next putting your sell stop here won't be bad. Your stop loss right here safe, and price impulsing all the way down, which now we can simply see that price is over somewhere here close to 4.7%. But it's okay, maybe you didn't spot this position. Let us take a look at what could be expected in terms of the market moving forward on Nasdaq. Okay, so with that bigger movement happening, obviously now this area where we at now is some sort of a, okay, let me just do this area where we at now is some sort of a support. We broke down below that support area, so now it's becoming some sort of resistance. So we'll just take a look at as well this gap, what it means and how we can cover it, because from what I'm seeing, normally what the market does is that it comes back to the 90%, the starting point of that specific trend line that we have here, which means right here is where we are looking to take maximum profits before we can start going back upwards. But let us see if price is actually agreeing or admitting to us going all the way down up until there where I did speak about. So now we are here, and this being the impulsive phase, this being our young correction. So what I'll do is that I'll just draw my patterns to be able to see what is going on, what pattern is being printed here. And just by drawing my patterns right here, I can see that it is it is a correction that represents that price eventually has to close this gap, maybe here, and after closing this gap, that's when I would see more increase to the downside. Like for instance, my first touch, second touch, third touch here, that gap closed, and as soon as you see the third touch, maybe you can get an entry somewhere here. Stop loss depends on what candlestick has rejected, and yeah, from there you are looking to take profit all the way down to here, which is much better, because looking at the risk compared to reward here, you are looking to make at least over 9.8%, which is close to 10%, which means that if you are risking only $100, there's a high chance that you can make over $1,000 from just this one simple trade. So it's very beautiful, very, very, very beautiful. So let us take a look at, before we go over to US 30, we can take a look at GBP JPY, and then we'll end it up with US 30. So with GBP JPY, I love the same thing that I was able to spot here, and we will just take a look at how we saw this. Okay, just like there we go. GBP JPY, so the daily is the same as the previous week, so I'm not going to be going too much on the daily. It's going to take a bit of time. What happens is that now you can simply see that yes, we did impulse now this deeper correction, and after this correction, it's almost like we are waiting for a third touch that could be able to just come all the way down to here. So looking at it from a daily time frame, the other price can literally just give us third touches here. From third touches here, we get all the way down to here, and as soon as you get down to here, you are going upwards now. But it's not like you are looking for price to move exactly like this. Obviously the market moves in specific ways. Let's say now when it gets here, we're looking at this being first touch, second touch, third touch, and as well first touch, second touch, third touch. So this area here is where our third touch is for this inner pattern, for as well this 4-hour pattern. But on top of that, we'll see how price goes down. Let's say for instance, if it gets here and it starts printing something similar to this, yes, we'll take that, maybe go down with it, go down with it, and once it gets here for our third touches, then we are also gonna go back up just like this, and then go back all the way to the upside, all the way up until our take profit, which is here, because our overall movement here is that bigger upward movement. And the ones that we are catching now, it doesn't mean that it's not gonna happen this way. It just means that yes, you can still capitalize massively from it, but the more potential ones is the one when we have confirmed that bigger buy, because then you'd only be buying and not taking profit at all. Okay, so with this being said, just take a look at this movement right here. We've got our first touches here, we had our second touches right here, and as well now price just coming here. If we can extend this, we are looking for price to give us that beautiful third touches anyway here, on which it will as well be a third touch for this trend line and a third touch for this trend line. So what can happen is that price can impulsively just get here and then go down, or price can just start, when it gets here, it can start moving something similar to this, and then once it does get done, we'll eventually take that sell before it does happen. So that's what I'm seeing on GBP JPY from a bigger time frame perspective. And as well, you saw on the 1 hour what I'm looking for in order to take my entries, because we're able to spot this beautiful buy that happened here, and we capitalized a lot from this in the premium signals group. So I'll make sure that I also leave the link below whereby you're able to get the premium signals group. But we were able to spot this beautiful buy just because of one simple thing. Obviously, this being our touches. When price got here at support area, it printed this beautiful pattern here, and then we broke out here. It came back to retest today. Last week we actually broke out, and then boom, you can see it went all the way upwards. Even here we spotted this being our third touch here, then we went all the way upwards with it. But that's just some of the pairs, or some of the trades that we saw or spotted the previous week. But this week is this week, and this week it's more about learning and perfecting some of the mistakes that we made the previous week, because other opportunities such as this one here, we did happen to miss it a bit. But yeah, we will get to eat this week. Definitely we have to eat this week. So looking at US 30, US 30 gives me the same scenarios as as Nasdaq. Same scenarios, because you can see this pattern right here, then boom, this deeper correction all the way downwards. But now with this, it's a bit more tricky, because we are now at this area of significance right here. But if I may just go all the way down to the 60-minute, it all depends on what the market is saying at this specific time. So if I can go to the 60-minute, I'm looking for Okay, I can see maybe it's trying to give us some sort of a double bottom structure, but I'm not gonna be taking a buy on it now, because the way that it has shot massively down, I highly I don't see that impulse massively to the upside the way that it did shoot down. So the only thing that I can do now is maybe have my lines just as this, and as well just as this, just so I can manage it, because maybe when it gets somewhere around here, once it closes the gap right here, I can easily just spot that sell. And once I spot that sell, I'll be going all the way downwards with it. But with this one here, what I'll do is that I'm more likely to sell on Nasdaq compared to selling here, because with Nasdaq it's much more clear in terms of my risk to reward, and as well my take profit areas. But with this, once it does go here, yes, my risk to reward, I can get close to 8% depending on where my stop loss is, but my take profit is not as great as what I would have in terms of me looking at Nasdaq. But that's what I'm seeing for the week. Obviously, if you happen to have got value from my YouTube video, what you can do is to just comment below what you're seeing, what you think about these setups that we're looking at. And on top of that, what you can do is to just like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, turn on the notification bell. Whenever I upload videos, you'll be the first to be you'll be the first to be updated. And on top of that, guys, we have launched our official store. Forex is a store, so one thing that I'll do is that I'll leave the link as well in the description. So if you want merchandise, just like maybe something similar to this, but obviously this is exclusive, but if you want something that's nice to represent, I'll just leave the link in the description. Then you can be one of those members that represent the chasers out there. I'll see you on the next YouTube video.